The Boston heeled heavily as Captain Barber hauled the wheel hard to starboard. The steamship groaned through the turn while enormous seas smashed against her hull, throwing spray high above the bridge. For several strained moments, the vessel seemed to resist the maneuver entirely before her bow finally began swinging through the storm. Then the darkness swallowed everything again. Rain hammered against the pilot-house windows while the beam of the steamer's mast lamp vanished uselessly into the black gale ahead. Charles Henry Gale gripped the rail beside the bridge door, eyes straining desperately for the missing red light he had reported moments earlier. Nothing. Only storm. Only black water rising and falling endlessly beyond the bow. "Where is she?" First Officer Pierce shouted. No one answered. Then, a green light exploded from the darkness directly ahead. So close it seemed almost suspended above the Boston's bow. 150 feet, Gale screamed. Captain Barber's face drained white. The green running light rose sharply atop a wave, followed instantly by the black outline of towering rigging and masts appearing through the rain. The Charlwood. Dead ahead. "Reverse engines," Barber roared. First Officer Pierce slammed the brass telegraph violently backward into full reverse. Far below deck, the engine room bell clanged wildly through steam and furnace roar. "Reverse!" Chief Engineer Hargreaves shouted instantly. "Reverse her!" Engineers lunged toward the massive machinery while steam valves screamed open. Deep beneath the hull, enormous pistons shuddered as the engines fought to reverse against their own momentum. But the Boston was still driving forward at full force through the storm. There was no time left. Lightning split the heavens. For one blinding instant, the entire channel burned white. And directly before them, only feet off the bow, the midship section of the Charlwood emerged from the storm like a ghostly wall of black iron and rigging. Captain Barber barely had time to shout before impact. The Boston's iron bow struck the sailing ship with catastrophic force. The collision sounded less like crashing wood and more like an explosion. Iron screamed against iron. The Boston's reinforced stem tore deep into the Charlwood's starboard side just aft of the mainmast, smashing through heavy hull plating, timbers, cabins, and cargo spaces in a shower of splintered wood, twisted steel, and shattered glass. The barque seemed to fold around the steamer's bow. Massive beams snapped like gunfire. Rigging collapsed from above, while cargo burst upward through shattered hatches. One of the Charlwood's masts cracked midway up with a sound like artillery before collapsing into the storm in a tangled avalanche of sail and spars. Men were thrown violently across both decks. A tremendous wave lifted the Boston even farther into the wound she had torn through the sailing ship, driving her bow nearly halfway across the Charlwood's beam, as seawater flooded instantly into the shattered hull below. For one terrible moment, the two vessels remained locked together beneath the lightning. Then the sea tore them apart.